would not see waste as waste.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you in association with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Revenue Authority, Goel Company Limited, Serene Insurance, and Ghana Link Network Services, the operators of the Integrated Customs Management System, ICOMS, at our ports. The program is also streaming live on our social media handles. On Facebook, you can watch us live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA. Still on Facebook, we're also streaming live at Port of Tema. Port of Tema. On YouTube, you can watch us live at Iron Port Ghana. Iron Port Ghana. Indeed, our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. So if you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to peruse through and see all that happened on the show right here tonight. We shall be getting interactive as usual with you, and so you can send us your comments and messages via WhatsApp line, dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0559-019-177, 0559-019-177. At the appropriate time, when I get the signals from my producers, I shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion tonight. My name is Kennedy Mona. We're going for a quick break. When we bounce back, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Every now and again, Goel makes good things happen. This time, Goel has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goel Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goel Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goel Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goel Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goel has that sorted. Goel, good energy.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance Motor Policy. Currently, my goods are on the IC, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the project, and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
All right, so you're welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and maritime industry in the course of the week. And the Transport Minister had the occasion to commission the Paga Transit Track Park, and it was in collaboration with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, the Ministry of Transport, and other stakeholders. They joined hands, and then this beautiful event came off in Paga in the Upper East region in the course of the week. Plus the fact that Trademark East Africa also visited the port of Tema to familiarize themselves with the operations of the port. And in the port of Takoradi, the security department has taken steps to boost the security in that particular port. Let's take a look at these stories.
The Minister of Transport, Kweku Furesiama, has commissioned the Paga track park following its reconstruction by the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority. The track park used to be in a very deplorable state, especially during the rainy seasons, with instances recorded when tracks overturned due to the poor nature of the ground. The 30,000 square meter project, which is at a cost of 18 million Ghana cedis, has facilities such as fire hydrants, light mast bays, sanitary facilities including washrooms, an ablution area, and prayer shed for the convenience and use of truck drivers and other visitors to the truck park. There is also the installation of razor wire rules on the truck park fence wall for enhanced security and drainage improvements at the entrance of the truck park. Commissioning the project, the Minister for Transport, Kweku Furesiama, said the facility will promote Ghana's international trade and attract businesses to the country.
The construction of this truck park is yet another intervention in addition to a similar facility in Tema. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to use this opportunity to reiterate that government, through the ministry and its agencies, is constantly on the lookout for prospects and opportunities that will inure to the benefit of our stakeholders. This government is very passionate when it comes to the facilitation of international trade, because it comes with a lot of benefit and leverage for the country and sub-region as a whole.
He said government will continue to invest in port infrastructure and cutting-edge technology to modernize and make Ghana's port and transit corridor the preferred choice within the sub-region. The board chairman of GPHA, Isaac Osei, was optimistic that the facility will further enhance mutual cooperation among the Sahel regions.
This truck park has been built to facilitate the smooth flow of cargo. But the truth is that it's not just about cargo. It is also about people. It's about the relationships that we establish amongst the people who live on either side of the border. The facilities which have been provided here is telling us that we are really talking about the mutual cooperation between our people. Drivers come here, they have a place to rest. They have a place where they can say their prayers.
He charged GPHA and its stakeholders to work in concert and see to the regular maintenance of the facility. The Director General of GPHA, Michael Luguje, said GPHA was making frantic efforts to make Ghana's transit corridor attractive and also the leader in the sub-region.
For us in Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, we have witnessed a steady growth in transit cargo through our ports of Tema and port of Takoradi. Our focus is to become the leading corridor. And indeed, because the ports are not just what is in Tema and Takoradi, every road that links to the port, every corridor that maritime transport passes through or cargo flows through is part and parcel of the port. If the ports are excellent and the road is bad, cargo cannot flow in and out. That is part of the effort that has resulted in the investment that has been done in this particular facility.
He added that the project will facilitate economic transformation and regional trade.
Players within the African continent are exploring various actionable means of enhancing trade and facilitating the movement of goods in the era of the continental free trade. One of such groups is the Trademark East Africa, an aid for trade organization, which is currently playing a pivotal role in the upcoming trade facilitation project to enhance trade and movement of goods in West Africa. Because of this, TMEA has paid a working visit to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and technical visits to operational areas in the port of Tema, as well as various stakeholders of the maritime trade in Tema as part of a scoping study. During an exchange with management of the port of Tema, the delegation from Trademark East Africa revealed that these processes follow an MOU the organization has with the AfCFTA Secretariat to boost the fortunes of Africa through liberalization of trade.
The Secretary General of the CFTA, Bankele Mene, the Secretariat, came to Nairobi and asked Trademark if they would be able to work in more countries in the continent. And that led to the signing of a MOU between Trademark East Africa, or Trademark, and the Secretariat for the CFTA in Lome in September.
And we want now to expand our operations here to support the private sector and the government entities in trade. And that's the reason why we visited. Ports are important infrastructure when it comes to trade, so definitely as important points. That's why they're interested in coming down to Tema.
The General Manager of Operations at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Governor Mavi, said GPHA aligns with the objectives that make trade easier and convenient for the people of Africa.
The need to look at MOUs in the region, African trade, that will really help us more. So we know each other. Once in a while we visit each other. Once in a while we check on our tariffs and see how we are going. And above all, what he indicated as payment structure, we need to take it very soon. So that fear is already gone.
The Port of Takoradi is concerned about the growing threats of piracy and insecurity in the Gulf of Guinea. The port is cognizant of its role in the maritime trade, especially Ghana's burgeoning oil and gas industry, and as such, taking steps to improve its security against these threats. One of such steps is demonstrated in the recently organized security exercise code named MT Tiger 4, intended to test and enhance the coordination procedures and response processes against likely security threats to the port facility and ships at its anchorage. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority collaborated with the Western Naval Command, the Marine Police, the Ghana Air Force, National Intelligence Bureau, National Security, Customs, Ghana Immigration Service, and the Ghana Maritime Authority. The various agencies collaborated for a coordinated response to a simulated hijacking at the liquid bulk terminal at the port. The successful exercise most importantly tested the interoperability of the various agencies while fishing out existing gaps to improve on. This exercise fulfills a requirement of the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code and enhances the Port of Takoradi's enviable position of being one of the safest ports in the sub-region.
The Port of Takoradi remains safe for maritime business, and we assure everybody that the Port Facility Committee is working in making sure that we are in good business.
The doctors at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority Hospital in Takoradi have participated in the Operations Hernia initiative, a training program designed to train medical officers in the repair of hernias using the surgical mesh method. This method has been globally identified as tension-free and safe, reducing the incidence of recurrence of hernia. The training program included theoretical and practical sessions on the proper treatment procedures. The program is seen as essential, with the GPHA hospital serving as one of the key health institutions serving thousands of people in the secondary Takoradi metropolis. This initiative was organized by the Hernia Society Ghana with the goal of reducing complications associated with hernia in the society. The head of health services at the Port of Takoradi, Dr. George Tedakabi, underscored the importance of the hernia project.
There are a number of our compatriots who cannot afford to pay for the full cost of hernia repair, and therefore they keep it for a long time on themselves till some of them even get complications. So the hernia program or project came to assist such people. So they are only made to pay just for, a pittance. And for that matter, they are able to go through the operations without any complications.
A surgeon with the Hernia Society Ghana, Dr. David Olaiwola, advocated for the early treatment of hernias.
When you use the mesh, the whole aim is that it helps you to reduce the risk of recurrence to the barest minimum. So you imagine using a very cheap method to do it, and then it comes back again. Use the same cheap method to do it, it comes back again. You can estimate how much you have spent all the times it's coming back. But if you do it with a method that may be a bit more expensive than those other ones, but it helps you to sort the problem once and for all, so that you don't have to come back again.
All right, so those were some happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week in the country. We'll now take a look at what's happening in the global shipping stage.
Several container shipping majors have temporarily suspended bookings to and from Russia amid the Russian military attack on Ukraine. The booking suspensions are a result of severe sanctions on Russia imposed by governments around the world. The international sanctions target Russian transport, energy, and financial sectors. Danish container shipping and logistics giant Maersk said it is temporarily halting new bookings within ocean, air, and intercontinental rail to and from Russia because the stability and safety of its operations are directly or indirectly impacted. Exempted from the booking suspension to and from Russia are foodstuff, medical, and humanitarian supplies. The suspension began on March 1, 2022 and covers all Russian gateway ports. Russian ships have been banned from ports in the United Kingdom following a fresh raft of UK sanctions against Russia on March 1, 2022. The ban includes any vessel owned or operated by anyone connected to Russia, and authorities will also gain new powers to detain Russian vessels. The ban was introduced together with additional economic measures, including against the Russian Central Bank and the State Sovereign Wealth Fund. The new measures prohibit UK individuals and entities from providing financial services to the Central Bank of the Russian Federation, as well as the Ministry of Finance and National Wealth Fund. The ship's manager and the Portuguese Navy has said that a large cargo vessel carrying cars from Germany to the United States sank Tuesday in the mid-Atlantic, 13 days after a fire broke out on board. MOL Ship Management in Singapore said in a statement that Felicity Ace, which was carrying nearly 4,000 luxury cars like Porsches, Lamborghinis, Bentleys, and Volkswagen, along with several high-end electric vessels, sank about 400 kilometers off Portugal's Azores Island, as it was being told. A salvage team had put out the fire. The ship's manager said the 200-meter-long vessel listed to starboard before going under. The Portuguese Navy confirmed the sinking, saying it occurred outside Portuguese waters. A Portuguese Air Force helicopter evacuated the 22 crew members when the fire first broke out, setting the ship adrift. Ocean-going tugboats with firefighting equipment had been hosing down the ship's hull to cool it.
All right, so those were some happenings in the port and shipping industry on the global stage. It's now time for us to zoom into our discussion proper tonight. And tonight we are talking AfTA, Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And did you know that there was a component of this particular AfTA arrangement that is called the AfTA Adjustment Facility? And beyond this particular facility, there's also what we call the payment settlement. What are these? Tonight we have one in the studio in the person of Mr. Louis Yaoafo, who is a trade practitioner and an AfTA expert at the AfTA Policy Network Group. He's been here before, but for this year, this is his first time of showing up on this show. Good evening.
Good evening, and good evening to your
viewers.
Good
to see you again.
Same here.
Happy New Year.
Many same return.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're so glad to have you this evening. Now, I want you to explain to us what this whole AfTA Adjustment Facility is. What is it?
Yeah, I think that basically, if you look at, let me start from this way. When you look at the categories and classification of member countries or party states, the economic size of most African countries are not the same. So just as you have the world grouped into third world, first world, and whatever, your developing countries, in Africa too, the proponents of the agreement realize that we will have developed economies of Africa, and then the developing. So you have economies that are in a certain category A. You take the likes of South Africa, you take the likes of Ghana, you take the likes of Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria. All those ones are big players when it comes to the economic giants in Africa. So they are in classification 1. Then you have the developing or the least developed in Africa under the agreement. And these are countries also, you look at the likes of Mauritania, you look at the likes of, Zimbabwe, Zambia, I think Mozambique and co. Those countries could not liberalize over the first 5 years. They can't say that they are doing away with their 90% tariff liberalization over 5 years. They are looking at over 10 years to 15 years to liberalize gradually because some of them will experience certain shocks. Be it as it may, they will still liberalize. So therefore, the fears which most African economies have always been thinking about is that, look, most of our revenues are from tax and tax on export, tariffs. So if we are liberalizing through the continental free trade, to the layman, we are going to get shortfalls in our revenue. So most of them became a bit, pullback. So even though the agreement is ongoing, most have not committed fully necessarily because they are looking at how to generate revenue. If Ghana is one, you know that, because at least we also need revenue. So if Ghana is also going to liberalize. So this adjustment fund was, as the experts thought of it, they decided to tax Afri-Exim Bank, who is taxed by the heads of states, to finance this whole after agreement activities. So they came out with what we call the Adjustment Facility Fund to support certain activities. It's in different components. The activities are going to be the fact that countries that are going to lose revenue in the immediate shocks, let's say the first 2 years, what can we do for them? How do we cushion them? So the Adjustment Fund is like a facility with two components or two categories.
2 components or 2 categories, which you have explained.
No, I've not explained the categories yet.
I know you talked about the countries that are developed and that are under this particular one, and those that are least developed. You mentioned the Zambia and the others.
Zimbabwe.
Where would you categorize Ghana? Where do we fall?
Ghana is among the first. The first, the developed economies within the after classification when it comes to the economic size. But Ghana will liberalize over 10 years. Initially, Ghana was liberalizing over 5 years. But Ghana have chosen to liberalize over a 10-year period. I think it's understandable because if you look at the enormous work that Ghana has done, we initially gave $10 million for the whole establishment, of the edifice and everything. We give that edifice
the secretariat.
The secretariat. Yes. We also give an initial seed of $10 million. And so Ghana really has committed a lot of resources and is still committed to committing a lot of resources. Some of the resources are not only in terms of it's in terms of technical assistance, leading the way at helping other countries to really catch up with the after stuff. So yes, Ghana is among the first categories to put.
Right. What are some of the criteria we use in categorizing these countries, that this particular country falls within this and that?
I wouldn't want to speak for those how they categorize, but I think that they are looking at basically your GDP strength. That is, to me, they are looking at the capacity of the economies. Then so your output, GDP growth. What is your GDP size? And also you look at your the way in terms of if you are looking at the World Bank's categorization of poverty, and then there are certain. These are the key. I think growth, GDP, and then I think your economic development as well. I say this is what they use. You know that some are not really. When they come to in terms of GDP growth, some countries are really marginalized. That is what they have to use.
Now, you mentioned that under the Adjustment Facility Fund, there are 2 components. Walk us through them.
Yes. And let me explain this. If you look at the adjustment facility, it's in 2. We have what we call the base fund. And then we have what we call the general one. Now, the base fund, let me start with the general one. The general fund consists of what we call credit. And the credit is going to look at, not in terms of cash, but let's give a certain exporting credit lines in terms of goods to make up. Because, for example, once you are doing import and export, and then people are shipping things to your country, you are taking nothing for their revenue, for their exporting. Maybe at the same time, you are not being able to export yourself. So you become marginalized. In other words, let me take you and I. I am exporting to your country. You have liberalized, I have liberalized. Now you are going to feel the pinch because you are not in that productive capacity to really export to me. So what happens to you? You are not taking the revenue. You too, you are not exporting. So then we have to give you a certain credit support, credit facility to enable to balance your trade volume. So that is the first one under trade, under the general credit. Then under the same general credit, under the general fund, you also have what we call the concessional, one credit. The concessional has to do with, you have started something new, especially you are given, you have started something new, that is the AfCFTA. We need to give you something to also support, to cushion you against shocks. Then again, the concessions you gave out, because they say you are liberalizing 90% of your product. So the concessions you gave out, at least we need to be able to find a room of meeting you at a certain point. So you also have the third one under the general. And the third one has to do with what we call the private sector. In other words, the facility is not only going to target governments to government, it's also going to target private sector within member state or party actors. So if you take Ghana, Ghana is a party state. If the funds are not going to target, let's say, the exporting capacity of government, we're also going to look at the private sector that is viable, who can export, who are potential. If you listen recently during the budget, this year's budget, the finance minister mentioned that they are targeting about 200 companies to support them to export. So, for example, that kind of packaging, the facility can target that. And currently, the Ghana AfCFTA Coordination Office also came out and said they've identified so far about 200 companies that are ready to be supported to export. That is how the structure is going to look like. So that facility is not coming from government. No, it's going to come from tourism, but they're also going to target private sector initiatives that have the capacity to export, but are due to maybe one or two constraints. So that is under the general facility. Then when you count what we call the base fund under the same facility. But the base fund is all important. The base fund is targeting what we call the BIAT. When I say the base fund is targeting the BIAT, what it means is that the BIAT is what we call boosting intra-African trade. The boosting intra-African trade has to do with the pillars, the various pillars or the various, what we call, how will member states really expedite implementation of AfCFTA. So the BIAT stands for maybe 7, we call them 7 clusters, the clusters. So maybe cluster 1, trade finance. Under trade finance, what are the arrangements that governments or party actors have done? So the base fund is going to support the clusters. There are about 7 clusters. So the base fund is going to support the implementation of the clusters. So for example, if you take something like trade infrastructure, there are a lot of infrastructure gaps that most of the party actors have. Because I'm on a survey, if infrastructure is not well funded, it's better you don't produce at all. Because if we are trying to talk about boosting intra-African trade and your infrastructure, how the goods go, you don't have good roads, you don't have rail, you don't have maritime. So if a party state has very good plans of maybe trying to have, fund and infrastructure, the base fund can support that. For example, the Ghana rail expansion. Ghana had initially trying to target to the north. But upon a second thought, I think the Ministry of Rail felt that, look, let us extend it to Burkina Faso. If such project is being joined, the base fund can support such kind of trade infrastructure, which is very, very key. And so this is the category. And then also, the fund is also looking at technical assistance under the base one. So in other words, we might not necessarily give the fund in terms of whichever way, but technical assistance. And I mentioned earlier that some of the AfCFTA members, though they have ratified, some of them have not initiated any strategic plan as to how to implement. So it's like it's very loud in Ghana, very loud in maybe Egypt, very loud in other places. But even countries like South Africa necessarily don't seem to have come out with a very strong strategic implementation plan. Ghana will be launching their implementation plan maybe, I think, this month. Now, the technical assistance is that if Ghana chooses to go and support a country like, let's say, Tanzania, which is yet to have, and I've also been told by my understanding that the Seychelles seems not to have fully become a member.
Right.
If maybe Ghana decides, okay, you have gone ahead, we want to offer technical assistance to a country to be able to come to terms with the structure, the implementation of AfCFTA, that base fund can support the technical assistance of that. This is the category under which the adjustment facility is proposed to work.
Right. You mentioned in your submission that this is not meant to support only the public sector, but private companies, the private sector can also take advantage of it. How can I, as somebody who operates a private company, my own company, take advantage of this particular facility?
They will come out with the modalities. They will come out with the modalities because the fund specifically is not for budget differentials. In other words, the adjustment fund or adjustment facility is not targeting governments whose budget insufficiency or budget shortfalls, not at all. So if we understand it as the premises, then it means that, just as I explained to you, certain initiatives, for example, if you go to every country, the supervising agency of this AfCFTA is the Ministries of Trade. So every Ministry of Trade, I don't know the name some call this, yes, but every Ministry of Trade is supposed to supervise the implementation of AfCFTA. Therefore, it's reasonable to say the Ministry of Trade will come out with plans and arrangements. So, for example, what I gave, if you belong to an association, in fact, that is one of the ways they are going to target. AfCFTA is going to support associations, cooperatives, structured groups who are potentially strong. So what they will do is that they will support financial institutions to help these groups.
Right.
Per my check, I did. So, for example, if your company belongs to, let's say, Ghana Chamber of Commerce or belongs to AGI or whatever, you are potentially strong to export.
You're not mentioning Guta.
I'm talking about those who are positioning to export. So let me add Guta, because my understanding sometimes, I know the trade. Let me add Guta.
Yeah.
I was just making examples. Let me add Guta, let me add AGI, let me add Ghana. And there are many. Right. So if Ghana exporters and importers. So if they want to export, okay, so they position themselves under the structure that has been arranged by the Ministry of Trade. So therefore, Ministry of Trade will have them in their profiling.
Right.
Therefore, if the fund hits Ministry of Trade in one way or the other, then they also find a way of bringing that support down to these groups. Just like the government announced that he is going to support 200, initially it was about 600 exportable companies. Then you ask me, how are they going to target? They have very, very category. They have the criteria, and I think I wouldn't be able to speak for that. But this is the way it's going to look like.
All right. So my understanding as a layperson, as far as this AfCFTA Adjustment Facility Fund is concerned, is that it is geared towards supporting countries who are falling short in terms of revenue, whose revenues are not adding up. And so it is supposed to stop, to support them to be on an even keel.
The original plan, the original conception, or the original concept was to support, initially it was credit, to support countries whose productive capacity, they were going to be marginalized. And for the first years of their liberalization, they cannot withstand the shocks.
Right.
That was the initial. But now there are a lot of components have been put. And so if you look at the component that now has been put, you can bear with me that it's not only that reason.
Right.
But even I mentioned technical assistance. I mentioned the private sector. All these were not the part of the traditional conception that was.
All right. So I think that we talked about the criteria through which countries can access this particular facility. And
I think that it was launched, and they'll be coming out with the modalities. Like I said, it is not to make room for governments whose budget has shortfalls. No, it is kind of like I said initially, AfCFTA has been taxed to finance export and import. We always touch on the export side of AfCFTA.
Yeah.
We have to touch also on the import side of AfCFTA. For example, if Togo, if maybe initially before AfCFTA, I remember a trader called me and said, look, I want to import this type of oil from Togo. Now, if before AfCFTA, Ghana have not had it on its list, and there were duties on that cooking oil, that means whoever that trader will have to pay to bring.
Right.
So maybe if you are bringing less than a 20-footer container. Now, after, if Ghana has liberalized such that the product that is coming from Togo has gained originating status and the rules of origin, that means about half or more than half of the raw materials used to produce were from Africa. Right. They automatically qualifies as originating status and after. So that product, when it comes here and it's not part of my liberalized, then it's not going to attract any duty. That means that if I used to import less, because previously there was under tariffs, now that there is no tariffs, I can import more because it is liberalized. And therefore, it has to come freely as it is. So you also have to look at the import side. So, for example, if that trader or that importer does not have the capacity and these facilities are available, it is also going to equally help. And I was stressing on the import side because we always look at the export, forgetting that when you look at actually under AfCFTA, you also need to look at how the whole agenda is about industrialization. Yeah. Therefore, you might need input manufacturing imports. Some countries are better than the others in terms of manufacturing imports. Yeah. If you take the automobile industry, let's use Apostle Kojo Safo's company. Maybe he wants to have certain import or certain inputs for manufacturing. It is a key opportunity. If that product is about 60% raw materials from Africa, then he should be able to be supported to import. So I'm looking at import-export. So the facility targets both importing and exporting. But I think always we stress the export because we always want to export more.
Our plan as a country is to promote exports. Well, we know we are heavily dependent on imports. And so the plan is tilted towards, promoting exports. And so you have many people thinking that, this whole AfCFTA arrangement is under the remit of exports. Everybody would want to export. And so perhaps that's why we think we have that orientation that this whole AfCFTA arrangement favors exports rather than imports.
And this is where, and it's good we're having this conversation. A lot of people have to understand that they need to have market intelligence about the export and import potentials of the member states. I did that survey research. We are yet to come out. How would you know this country wants this or you want that? If you don't know, how do you even export there? And that is one of the fundamentals that private CSOs must take that work, even if AfCFTA Secretariat won't take that responsibility. They are doing their best, but their job is overwhelming. So civil societies, private sector, this is key because the trader who is the informal trader, my mother maybe who is at the village, who is a farmer, who is at how would he know that this product that I have will be bought at country ABC? You didn't know. So we have to help them to know that, look, this list of products, when I take it to country ABC, they will buy it in volume because they've liberalized it. That is number one. Number two, per the question that, the point that you made right now, it is also imperative for you to know that the Ghana Export Promotion Authority launched their NED, the National Export Development, and they expanded a lot of non-traditional commodities. There should be a certain linkage between the Ghana GEPA and then Ghana Commodity Exchange. Why? Because the Ghana Commodity Exchange, every free trade that really counts on agribusiness, it's going to survive well. Because the Ghana Commodity Exchange will now give a lot of data to the Ghana Export Promotion Council. Look, we are the ones with the commodity traders, being it agri-commodity, whatever, special agri-commodity. They are ready to export this, that. The Ghana Export Promotion also said, okay, now we have done our market intelligence, and our market intelligence tells us that, look, let us run maybe 2-week capacity for traders or exporters. We know that under the AfCFTA country ABC, when you take maybe aluminium there, they really like. For example, if you take Ethiopia, if you want to trade in terms of this aluminium saucepan, the cooking pot we have here, you will do well. I mean, people might not know. For example, somebody might say, okay, maybe if I go to a country like maybe Nigeria, apart from everything, granules and granite oil is a hot cake. Yeah. What can I do? So we need to provide the potential exporters or whoever the market intelligence of the export viabilities of these member states. Without that, it will be difficult. And that is what very soon the AfCFTA Secretariat will be publishing at what they call the Africa Trade Observatory, a website where country A will publish all the list of products it feels that he's going to liberalize. Country B is going to publish. And if you change course, you have to write to the AfCFTA Secretariat that, look, I have changed this. So you can't just, on your will, decide that, no, I brought a list, I've liberalized it. Well, I just thought of it last night that I want to change it. I'm no more. No, you don't do that. Right. So that is the way we can be able to support the export drive. The whole idea about AfCFTA is about how do we trade among ourselves? Yes. How do we stop the raw materials we are exporting outside Africa? That is the whole concept. Why is it that if you look at East Africa, before, after, between Kenya and Ethiopia, Kenya's coffee, does it reach Ethiopian market? No. A lot goes outside. Why? Ethiopia's comparative advantage, does Kenya benefit? No. That is what AfCFTA seeks to do. So you look at your comparative advantages and export among yourselves. Exactly. So if we don't know the market intelligence of what whoever needs what, we are doing ourselves.
Yes, because I wanted to come in with this element of comparative advantage, competitive advantage, that look, if you know that this is what I'm good at, this is what I can do, this is what I produce as a country, and I do it more than any other country around me, then you are able to announce it. The rest of the countries know that this is what it is. So if another member country is also good at a particular product, it also comes up and say, oh, look, we do this better than any other person. Look at our volumes and all that. And so we are best suited to export this particular product. I think that
a critical point is wheat. My understanding is that Ghana also imports a lot of wheat elsewhere. I mean, if my facts are correct, I'm even told we can even import wheat from Iran. Right. But our next door neighbor, Nigeria, can supply us wheat more than any metric ton we want. Yeah. But do we have that bilateral inside AfCFTA? So this is in fact, if the agreement, if this whole AfCFTA thing will survive for many years to come, then we really have to be honest with ourselves and do this comparative advantage of patronizing what we are not good at. For example, like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire's cocoa agreement that they had. Now let us have a kind of price regime. We like a kind of cocoa OPEC. Let's cut the short. They can do that because the last time I said, if you take the whole revenue of chocolate in the world, the revenue is not coming to Ghana nor Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah. But these are the two powerful producing countries in Africa. You see, if we don't work on our comparative advantage, you'll be surprised. The countries where we're exporting the raw materials to will have a synthetic generation of some of these cocoa production and then come back and sell the beans to us. And at that time, you and I will not be very comfortable. Yeah. The gari, which comes out of cassava, you'll be amazed. When we package it well, we can sell this concept to the United Nations human refugees, because the refugees, excuse me to say, when there's conflict, there's war, and people are hungry, isn't now they're giving them the raw rice? No. You have gari, you can put it into, I saw gari packed with milk, with this. That is a concept. If you don't do that, somebody will come and pick the raw cassava here, stick here, go and plant it there, and sell it back to you. Yeah. This is what is happening. And so if we, as African AfCFTA member states, refuse to acknowledge our shortfalls and build upon the comparative advantage of each other, we will still not be able to trade among ourselves. Right. And the agreement will be a sham.
All right, I'm just being a bit curious with this particular, after facility, fund, adjustment facility fund. Yes, I want to find out if a country is able to access it. Is that country required to pay back, or is free of charge?
Thank you. For example,
kind of a grant.
For example, if you take the concessional one, it's not free to come with. It is coming without interest.
Okay.
It will be giving you payback, but without interest. Okay. Because the source, the base fund, if you take the base fund, the source is going to be contributions from member states. It's not coming from anywhere. Member states will say, okay, I'm contributing 30%, 20%, 50%. After all, if you take AfCFTA Bank, the structure of AfCFTA Bank, the shareholder structure, it's by African governments. So it makes reasonable to say that if, after all, we set up, we have other shareholders coming from outside Africa, but if you look at the larger structure of AfCFTA Bank, it's owned by governments, African governments. So they can also boldly say, okay, let us contribute to have a kind of a fund that will support that. But you can't just come and take the fund and you won't pay back. You pay back, but it's without interest. That is the only difference, it's without interest. But I keep on saying something. I'm happy that it comes without any interest, because if it comes with interest, let us do a certain analysis. There are so many free trades in the world. Let's take the European Union. Currently, we are at what we call stage 1 of an African market. Because the whole thing is for Africa to move into an African market. Now we are at stage 1, what we call the free trade. Good. But so there will be challenges. If we really want the African market we want, from the free trade, we have to move to our one custom union. Then we move on to one currency and all that. Now the question you have to ask yourself is, if we need more banks like AfCFTA Bank, because if AfCFTA Bank decides today, or any other bank decides that let me give you higher interest rate for the concessional loans or concessional fund support I'll give you, it will not help you. Why? Because if, for example, we all want to play a major role in terms of global trade, and then you have interest rate at 2% by European Union. If European Union Bank is giving 2% rates to a country C in Europe, and then you, an African country, you too, the opportunity by which you get support, the interest rate is less about 8%. Give yourselves 5 years. Country A in Europe, country A in Africa, and see who will do better. Of course, 5 years' time, the country within that low interest rate will produce and supply to you, and you cannot. So we need to look at, in terms of trade finance, in terms of all these facilities, thank God it's zero tariff, but other financial institutions that are going to come along, we should look at our interest rates continentally. Else, you wouldn't be able to match global trade league.
Right. Okay, so let's take a look at the countries which have, let's say, rigid financial controls, capital controls, and these countries are also struggling with, let's say, multiple exchange rates and all that. How will this fund particularly work for them?
I mean, basically, I think that one was supposed to even come under in terms of the payment systems, because when you are doing transfers, but because this one under the
adjustment facility,
you won't have that controls, because at the end of the day, it is not coming to weaken anything. You are the one who needs it.
So we'll come to the payments and settlements. We'll come to that. But let me also take us back to the issue of countries that have the capacity to access this particular fund. What mechanisms have been put in place to ensure that they don't abuse it if they are able to access it?
I think that they will provide,
because there will be genuine countries who really require the support, and there are other countries who can stand on their own, but because the facility is available, they'll take advantage of it.
I think
How do we ensure that they don't abuse it?
At this stage, they have not come out with more details on this adjustment fund. So I'm very sure that in the coming weeks, the AfCFTA Bank and AfCFTA Secretariat will come out with all the details, and they will communicate to their party actors, the governments, and then they will also trickle in the information to their various ministries of trade, and then the private sector and what have you, because I'm sure that they will safeguard the sector to not be abused. That's why they have made it clear that this fund is not a budget support fund. If it's a budget support fund, that's going to be abused. Because if it's a budget issue, that is, we say, for example, country A says, oh, this year I was expecting to have maybe $250 billion proposed revenue for my budget financing, but I don't have a shortfall, so I now have, let's say, $100 billion. I need extra $150 billion. That fund is not for that purpose.
Right.
And most of the physical indisciplines, most African economies have a lot of fiscal indisciplines. That physical indiscipline cannot be translated into this fund. It will collapse. So they are not looking at that. They are going to have so many mechanisms and criteria by which, after all, you are going to work with your customs. Yeah. Customs are going to be one of the entries that will give the accurate information. And also, we have what we call the after certificate of origin. So we are going. The after certificate of origin is going to detect, or it's going to really give accumulation of what products you are filing as export, which qualifies as originating status. So, for example, if 200 companies are sending products to country B, and they have filled the after certificate of origin leaving their country, it means it has been endorsed that that product qualifies as a free trade product. Let me put it in ordinary terms. Right. So that product is coming to a country that will be marginalized. The point of entry, they have data, and that data is not going to be hidden. That's why everything is going to be integrated. That is why if you look at the agreement, the preamble, it says that we are going to have custom cooperation and management. Because we are not a custom union yet, we have to cooperate. So it means that Ghana Revenue Authority have to cooperate and manage its data transparent to what do you call it, the fund, or through after secretariat and through if after secretariat they say I'm calling for the data, I want to see the trade volume or the balance of trade between country A, B, C. This country is one of the categories less developed. I want to see the volume of trade that came and which is causing it to be marginalized. That data should be available, and this is what we are heading towards. And so it can be possible that we can translate our fiscal disciplines into this fund. It will not work.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so how much has been set aside in total for this particular fund? 10 million?
I think that I don't have that figure, but what I know, because this figure, this fund, I wanted to add, also support SMEs.
Right.
And the I don't have the figure, but the one I have for SMEs is $1 billion.
Okay.
I know that one has been secured. I think that is one very, very one stride that the Secretary General has done well.
I'm talking about $10 billion, maybe.
No, I'm saying that the Secretary General made it clear. He has always been saying that His Excellency Wang. He said that he was always looking. He's pushing for $1 billion for SME development.
Right.
And so for me, I know that that particular one, that fund, I'm very sure is ready.
Right.
But for the facility, Afrexim Bank will be able to give us that
figure.
But I doubt if they are going to give you a colossal amount because they are running it. So basically, it will be someone who says an unlimited resources at this stage.
Absolutely. All right, so this is our report here on Metropolitan Television, and with me in the studios is Mr. Louis Xiao-Afo. He is a trade practitioner and an AfTA expert at the AfTA Policy Network Group. Indeed, we are discussing the AfTA Adjustment Facility Fund and Payment Settlement, which will be coming to pretty shortly when we return after this short break. Please stay with us.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Tell God, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifu, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse. And my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance.
Oh, Ajima,
tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
All right, so you're welcome back from the break. We are continuing with the discussion here. Remember, with me in the studios is Mr. Louis Yao-Afo, who is a trade practitioner and AfCFTA expert at the AfCFTA Policy Network Group. And we're discussing the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund, Facility Fund and settlement. That's payment settlement. That's a Pan-African payment settlement system.
Settlement system.
Absolutely, yes. So tell us about it. What is it?
Well, the Pan-African payment and settlement system is a very great achievement. It is a payment system.
All right, so before you continue, let me announce that the phone lines have been activated. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. I have your messages inbox here. I'll be taking them pretty shortly. But you can call. The number to dial is 020-552-8353. 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Yes.
I must say there was once a consultative meeting, and I made a contribution that I'm hoping one day when we finish with this AfCFTA, we should work on our payment system. It is something I was really voicing out. I was saying that we should come a time where we reduce our concentration on the MasterCards and the Visas. Why? Because it takes it's estimated about $5 billion of loss when we are not having our own payment system, settlements. Why? Because it goes out of Africa before it comes here. 80% of transfers hit outside Africa before coming down. And it's estimated $5 billion of loss every year.
Right.
That motivated this Pan-African payment and settlement for AfCFTA. And it was initiated by AfriExim Bank, having the approval of the heads of state. And
that's the equivalent of GIPS that we have in Ghana.
Exactly.
Okay.
The difference is key. There are different currencies across Africa.
Right.
And so it is very difficult if you want Naira.
The Naira, the Kwacha.
Yes.
You know, the
if you are dealing with a different currency supplier in a different country, how would a person accept your cedis? It's going to be difficult. You have to denominate or exchange it in dollar equivalents. Now, the payment systems are, look, let's know what we would take the burden upon ourselves. We will take the clearing system upon ourselves. We will work with your central banks.
Right.
So the central banks will now work with all commercial banks. So that the commercial banks, if I'm an individual, so it will operate this way. An individual, I'll go to my commercial bank, I advise my commercial bank, I want to transfer using papers. I make that instruction. So it means that whatever amount I want to transfer to you, it may be Nigeria, Senegal, whatever, I don't need your currency. I don't need dollar. They will settle it in my currency, and you receive it in your currency. So they take away that bottlenecks. the delays, and it's just about 8 seconds, I'm told, for the transaction to go. So the Pan-African payment and settlement system is to facilitate and accelerate the speed with which we transfer.
Okay.
The good thing is that...
The good thing is that, hold it there. I'll come back and continue with the good thing is that. But let's go on to the phone lines and welcome Eugene Asari. He's calling us from Botiano. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Please, can we know the telephone number of Mr. Afo?
Can you know what?
Can we get Mr. Afo's telephone number? So that
Mr. Afo's telephone number. Okay, so don't hang up. My producers will give it to you. Is that all that you're asking for?
Yes.
All right.
For a meantime.
Thank you very much indeed. So he's asking for your number. My producers will give it to you, in the production room there. Thank you very much indeed for calling. We know you are watching. Yes. So the good thing is?
The good thing is that the Pan-African payment and settlement system is going to have third-party contractions or contracts. What it means is that there is not focus only on government to get government. Phase 1 is looking at central banks to central bank. Phase 2 is going to involve subcontracted to fintechs and private individuals. In other words, I can remit, I can do remit directly using a platform under PAPS. For somebody, I want to transfer somebody to in the US. PAPS can help.
Right.
It's very, very important. Then again, there are so many fintechs around that can be hooked to this platform. For example, if a commercial bank ABC have customers or clients, and those clients are, let's say, ICT tech firms or fintech firms, the commercial bank can subcontract an opportunity, or perhaps can work closely with these third parties to support a bit of what they do, so that it won't be like only a government machinery system, but private startup companies that are strong with fintech abilities can be hooked to this tributary of opportunity. And to me, that is good because a lot of young guys, not only in Ghana, have developed so many wonderful apps. So many wonderful apps that when they are given the opportunity, they will save us a lot of the difficulties that we are having when it comes to transfer. And so that is one area that PAPS is also going to look at. Another key thing that PAPS does is that, like I said earlier on, in terms of reliability, you don't need to worry because in those days, maybe you are transferring money, the other person says, I've not received it. Who is guaranteeing the risk? This time, Afrasian Bank is going to be the referee.
Okay. Hold it there. We'll continue from the referee. Let's welcome Esther from Medina to the show. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, good evening.
Yes. Good evening. Please flow.
Yes. So my question to Mr. Afo is that he just mentioned the fact that $1 billion has been secured for the SMEs. Now, what I want to know is that how is this information going to get to the market woman in Makola, for instance? How is she going to know that this is something that she can take advantage of? So in terms of advocacy, that's my question. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you very much indeed, Esther, for your call. We're grateful that you are watching the show. Her question is simple. There's a $1 billion facility announced, by AfCFTA. So for SMEs, how is somebody around Makola going to know that, okay, I'm running an SME and this is a facility that I can take advantage of? How is the news going to go there?
Let me start this way, and I like the question. And I always I want to be very, very frank with you. A lot of our regional integration agencies should encourage CSOs and private sector initiatives because they can't do the work alone.
Right.
For example, let's take African Union or AfCFTA Secretariat. They can't do the work alone. So when they have initiatives by CSOs or private sector organizations like us, they should work closely with us to help do the job. Because, for example, how will the informal person know this? I don't expect that somebody will come all the way from AfCFTA Secretariat and walk to Makola to be doing that kind of sensitization. They won't. And they should have that opportunity. I did a presentation for India on AfCFTA. This is people where we're determined to say, how can India benefit
from AfCFTA?
So the question is, how can our people benefit? Because the information flow is not too much. To her question, This information, after Secretariat is going to coordinate that use, and I gave you instantly that they are going to work
issues
with
of education and sensitization.
Yeah, that is
Primarily,
one.
that's what
But
it's
this
about.
one, the information will come through the ministries of trade. They work with ministries of trade. Then under trade finance, maybe they will support financial institutions who will open the opportunity for people who want to maybe SMEs who want to work or export under after. They might not say it in black and white, but that mechanism, that system will be put in place through various agencies and it will trickle down to these SMEs. They will make announcement of all these things when they are ready.
Okay, so let's go on to the phone lines once again and welcome Al Hassan. He's calling us all the way from Tamale. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, please flow.
Please, I want to add my contribution to the discussion.
Please go ahead.
Like, we can only achieve this agenda by making our local, like the regional levels, unless we identify the potentials in the regions, what the system regions can produce to the country. Unless we identify that factors, because we can move to this agenda. Because there are some regions in Ghana, they have what they can offer the countries. And there are some regions that have no any resources. Some are having good and some are good in agriculture. So if government focus on that aspect, if government identify that this region can produce Ghana the cocoa, and government focus on that part, this region can provide maize to extend that we can export it, and government focus on that sector before we move to the African trade. If we move without plan from the grassroots, definitely we can't benefit from that trade.
All right.
Unless we know what we can put into the market. If not, we can't benefit from that trade. It will just be a name.
Right.
We just, like, we are in market partnership, but Ghana will not benefit anything from that unless we identify what the regions can give to the country.
Right. Thank you very much indeed, Al Hassan, all the way from Tamale. We appreciate your call. His is just a simple one. He says all the regions, we need to identify which region can do what and what it can contribute before we're able to, partake meaningfully in this whole after arrangement. I think I do.
What they said is very
get
important.
His point, yeah.
What he said is very important. That is, for me, well, later you can put our networks up because our network has done a lot when it comes to this sensitization and this kind of putting people where they can really benefit.
Yeah.
What the young man is saying is true. And that is why the Ghana Export Promotion needs to really work out their net. Why? I don't know whether you were in the old system, the O level and A level. In those days, when you are traveling to Cape Coast or Takrady, my brother, you will see a lot of coconut trees. So much. Today, I doubt if Ghana can produce 60,000 tons of coconut. We can't. Why? What has happened to the coast? Even the lands are not there. So, coconut, which is it has value chains. If a country says, I want 70,000 tons or tons of coconut, can we produce? Why? So what he's saying means that every region should have a certain identical volume of product. But I wanted to stress that let us not only think after it's about goods only, services. I've been hammering on that side.
Services. All right, so let's go onto the phone lines and welcome Emefa, who is calling us from Ashali Boche. Good evening, Emefa.
Good evening.
Thank you very much indeed for calling in. Please flow.
All right, thank you. I have a question. In regards to the after integration, are there any mechanisms put in place, or let's say KPIs, to access the extent or the outcomes, whether the preferred outcomes they have are being achieved? So generally, whether as to accessing the success of the integration as a whole, are there any factors they consider as a checklist that they take off?
All right, Emefa, we have not been able to pick what you said. Can you please raise your voice a bit?
Okay, thank you. My question is in regards to whether they have any performance indicators that they deal with to measure the success or the outcome of the whole after integration process.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. I think we're yet to come there. Your assessment of Ghana's performance as far as this whole after arrangement is concerned.
That is a fantastic
I think that you can
question.
use that opportunity of Esther's question and then just, answer that, and then we'll proceed here.
That is a fantastic question. We are a network. In fact, we're the first to establish, and now we are big. The AfTA Secretariat, that is the referee, or the mother organization for AfTA. The agreement says that after 5 years, you can opt out, and it can be reviewed also after some years. Currently, I'm sure that they have not have any publicly, KPI or any
key performance
indicators to say. But the blueprint by which we measure whether a country and after its performance, what I call the BIAT, I've been saying it. The BIAT is boosting intra-African trade, and it forms what we call clusters.
Right.
So to aim my first question for now, clusters, we have 7 of them. Trade finance. So under trade finance, there should be the support ability to make sure that companies, individuals export. So if in your country, you don't have a lot of financial support, where people are not producing, they are not getting the financial support to export, to import, input for manufacturing, the financial flow support is low. Then, of course, you know you are not performing.
Right.
Come to trade infrastructure. It's another key one. Trade infrastructure. What are the related infrastructure we need to boost trade? If you don't have, and you are not doing anything about it, you know that you are behind the league. Another key one, trade policy. What national policy do we have in trade that is not helping us, which is giving us away, or which can help us to boost after? For example, let me applaud the Ministry of Trade. Ministry of Trade is really deploying the areas as I was talking about, looking at using the free zones, security, economic zones. Ministry of Trade is using the export, is trying to make sure capacity building here, using the Ghana. Those ones are they are policies. Targeting 200 companies to help them export. That is policy. If you take another indicator, that is, let's say, the productive capacity. Productive capacity is how our production capacity in terms of labor, capital, and all those things put together, helping to produce. So therefore, you look into the country. Maybe Ghana now, you look at our industrial parks, industrial zone. It is good because we are trying to find a way that will benefit from economies of scale. You look at other regions. So for now, I know Tema is food. They are looking at Shama to build another park there. Ghana is trying to get something like import. And then it's going to be launched very soon. So you look at that one. Are we manufacturing? Are we building a value chains? These days, when I walk around, very happy, you see a lot of people in the agribusiness chain. You take one product, let's say plantain. It has so many chains. You see that there is a certain them, give the people 3 years when they get the support. You see them establish a company. That is how we need to see. Apart from that one, we also have what we call the market segmentation, which is also very, very key. Then you look at trade information. It's an indicator. Trade information is what... Okay.
So trade information, we'll come to that. But let's go back to Tamale and welcome Osman onto the discussion. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Can you raise your voice a bit, please, Osman?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yes. Please go ahead.
My point is, what I suggest to my point is...
Osman, can you raise your voice a bit? Your voice is quite, faint. Can you raise your voice a bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
I'm saying, I'm from Tamale, Northern region.
Yes.
Tamale here, Northern region,
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please flow.
I'm saying that, Northern region, we have, we have a lot of farmers. Do you understand?
We had a lot of what?
We have a lot of farmers.
Farmers, yes.
So the way government is building one district, one factory.
Yes.
You should have come to Tamale here and we are producing rice.
Rice, yes.
Yes, and then secondly, mix. Corn. I'm talking about corn.
Yes.
So you should come and put the factories around in northern region so that our distance will raise up.
All right.
So this.
We get your point, Osman. Thank you very much indeed. He thinks that they have a competitive advantage in terms of production of rice, maize, wheat, and all that, and so government should kind of like, give them attention so that they can also contribute. That's the northern region. He's talking about the northern region.
So it boils down to the question the previous one asked. If region by region, Ghana Export Promotion, we can help them if they want us to support them. If they are able to mark out the high potential within every region, then you assist them for trade finance. You assist the market intelligence. So when somebody comes to Ghana, he knows when I go to Cape Coast, I'll get palm oil. When I go to Tamale, I have rice, this, that. Ghana Commodity Exchange also jump into the Ghana Commodity Exchange should be more visible. We need to hear more of Ghana Commodity Exchange. Because commodity trading, I tell you, and I'm telling you today, half millionaires that you know, majority of them are into commodity trade. And half of the same commodity traders are into agribusiness. And if Africa would develop in the next 15 years, millionaires will come from agribusiness. So when you come to Ghana, we shouldn't hear the stories like Malaysia came to pick palm oil. That era is over. If you go to, let's say, East Central region, I say, oh, there's palm. When I go to, let's say, Western region, I know there is coconut. We should develop the regional value chains within Ghana itself. Then secondly, like what he's saying, we need to help what we call the exportable chain. The exportable chain are people who don't have the capacity to export directly, but they help the process. So, for example, you are the one who will pick the rice from my farm. You are part of the exportable chain. What can we do for you? Because if you don't pick the rice from my farm, I cannot get to where it's going. So we need to identify the exportable chain by which we can facilitate the process. For example, if you take, let's say, environmental issues, services, if you take, let's say, the refuse or waste, recycling, if you want to do waste recycling. A critical example would be the ones we call them aboboya, who have been carrying. They are exportable chain. Because if they don't come for it, you can imagine, give yourself some time. So I'm giving the same way. If you move into let me touch a bit on the service sector, very, very important. The service sector is part of AfCFTA. There are 12 priority sectors under AfCFTA, under services. And the World Bank estimates about 50% of GDP growth is going to come from services. So why are we not putting much effort in the services?
And the services, on import and exports.
And the services, you have 5 that have been liberalized. ICT, tourism, tourism, transportation, financial institutions. Some of the banks some of the financials don't even know that they are part of AfCFTA. Some of them feel they are just passerbyers. No. Financial, and we have health. They are going to, but the rest of the service includes health, education. When these whole 12 components under the priority sectors are really liberalized, my brother, there will be a lot of jobs. Because even ICT alone is a place that is an ocean on its own. Take tourism. One bit of tourism, if we are doing destination travel, for example, Mona, destination travel. Nigeria, if you go to Nigeria, called the Cattle Range, it's a modernized tourist center. I'm asking you, how many even Nigerians would like to go there compared to going outside Africa?
Going to Dubai.
Then the revenue, putting pressure on your own foreign nation. So if we really look into deep within ourselves, apart from the good side, the services can fetch so much jobs. When we really put, if you take tourism, we are looking at infrastructure. We are looking at the labor. We are looking at technology that goes with it. If you take transportation, why should it be difficult for a ship that is bringing goods between 2 African countries go and pass through Dubai and reach here? What can we do? So you look at the chain within that service industry. That is where you have this logistics going on. So we need to critically dissect protocol by protocol of AfCFTA so that the people will understand and say that I am interested in positioning myself to benefit from AfCFTA from this angle. I think this is what the vacuum is. Somebody says, how can I benefit from AfCFTA? Maybe he's an ICT guru. He can develop an app. And his services can be exported outside Ghana without even moving. Mobility. such a person should be helped.
Yeah, to take advantage.
Somebody can develop a product right now. During the COVID era, 2020, there were a lot of innovations. Those boys who innovated the machines, how many have they been able to produce? So this is where the help comes in. You get those people, help them to register with the Registrar General, let them go through standard board for certification. After that, what money do they need to produce more? You get them trade finance. Then you monitor it to the market intelligence. Have their product been sold here? That is when you can say you are helping the person.
Right.
But in most African regimes, the person comes, we will support you. They just help market advertise one and
that's it. Okay. So this one says, to which extent is Ghana ready for the AfCFTA? Give some examples. I think that you've mentioned that one already.
Question again?
To which extent is Ghana ready for the AfCFTA? Give some examples. I think that ties in with what IMF asked about performance indicators.
No, I think this one is asking what Ghana has done so far.
Yes. To which extent is Ghana ready for the AfCFTA? Whether Ghana is ready. And we have indicated that Ghana is ahead of
Ghana,
its
it's not because I'm a Ghanaian.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. But Ghana is ready to the extent that when it comes, if you go to our ports, we have our single window. We have after ICOMs. We have after product codes. Other countries don't have. If you talk of infrastructure, you got the rail. Is trying to extend to the north. If you talk about some of the roads, something is being done. If you look at trade finance, Ghana is looking at Ghana Export, Ghana Exim Bank, and then also the current agency, the trade agency, one of the agencies. And then you look at Ghana Export Promotion. I can tell there was a friend who had opportunity. GEPA helped them on chocolate. There was a chocolate show in Paris. They helped him finances in and out. He sold everything.
Right.
And so Ghana has positioned itself even with trade information. And the last thing why Ghana is so ready is that Ghana is one among the few countries that has come out with a pact or an interministerial strategy whereby you have Ministry of Foreign Affairs aware, so that when they reach the borders or immigration also is aware.
I think we've run out of time. We've run out of time. So this one says, please kindly let me know how to identify my market for maltile products. Okay, I think that will bring you the answers in our abridged version on GTV. So Louise will answer them, and then we put it there and give to you. This one also says, I commend the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority for constructing the Paga Transit Truck Park. It is a very worthy investment that will help improve transit trade along Ghana's corridors. This one is from Evans in Vrongo. Thank you very much. The Transit Park is a baby of the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority. We are so proud of the issues that it's resolving or solving in that particular area. And we also say a very big happy birthday to my producer, Solomon Anderson. Today is his birthday. We salute you, Solo. I wish you many more blessings, and we pray that the years ahead will bring you glad tidings and good fortune. This is where we draw the curtain on this week's edition of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. We bring you, some compliments from our sponsors. That's the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, Ghana Revenue Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, and Ghana Link Network Services. They are operators of the Integrated Customs Management System. To our executive producers, Madam Esther Jebidonko and Madam Nana Esi Soderberg, we say thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. We say thank you to our guest, Mr. Louis Yao Afol, who is a trade expert, trade practitioner, after expert at the AfCFTA Policy Network Group. We thank you so much for coming. My name is Kennedy Mona. Remember, the abridged version of the show is aired every Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television. Thank you very much for watching and have a super week ahead. Happy Independence Day.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.